Where I am now, better than before. Through those open doors, where I am now, where I am now, I'm in a special place. I'm in a open place, where I am now. It's now time for the most talked about radio show in the whole wide world. That's FYI Radio Show with your host, Miss Yolanda, the Lady Hinton. I'm Ed Everett, the co-host. The music that you hear in the background is none other than Miss Yolanda, the Lady Hinton, where I am now. Where I am now. And if you'd like to see us live at WGPL 1350, all you have to do is go to Ed Whatever's Facebook page or Miss Yolanda, the Lady Hinton Facebook page. And guess what? You can see us live right here in the studio. And if you want to hear us all over the globe, all you have to do is go to 1350 AM, 1400 AM. Go to church webcast, click and listen live. And now I want to introduce to some and present to others the host of the most talked about radio show in the whole wide world, Miss Yolanda, the Lady Hinton, and a pleasant good morning to you.
Good morning, Mr. E. It's a beautiful day in the neighborhood.
Would you, could you, will you be my neighbor?
Let's welcome our neighbors. Let's welcome WGPL 1350 AM listeners.
Peace, 95.3 FM, WPCE 1400 AM, WMVA 88.9 FM.
Facebook Live is on and popping. Let's also welcome Twitter, LinkedIn, YouTube, and Instagram. Make sure you like, share, comment, and subscribe. And we promise we'll shout you out.
Like, share, comment, and subscribe.
Like, share, comment, subscribe. Go over to Crystal Records 1. That's at YouTube. CRISTO Records 1. You can also go to at FYI Radio Show host, Yolanda Hinton. Make sure you like. Make sure you share. Make sure you comment and subscribe. And Mr. E and I promise we'll shout you out.
You promise?
Promise.
Shout out.
Mr. E.
Yes.
What day is it today?
Today is Home Day. That's what today is.
No comment.
Yeah.
Anyway, it's Hump Day. It's the middle of the week. You all should be up and popping. Listen, what happened to the gut wrenching Hump Day?
Well, it is Hump Day, middle of the week.
Yes, it is. It is. I hope you all are having a wonderful day. I tell you what, last night the weather cooled off so good. I'm feeling so good. Great rest, up and popping. You all should be up and popping too. We got a great show for you all. What are we expecting today as far as weather, Miss Steve?
Well, the weatherman said it's going to be a beautiful day. Give some hurricane updates and no clouds in the sky, no rain whatsoever. The temperature today is 80 degrees outside now, and it's going to be mostly sunny on today.
And hopefully low humidity like yesterday.
Yeah.
But nevertheless, it's still summer, and I'm telling you, I'm still enjoying it, of course. But we have a wonderful topic on today. This is FYI's Wednesday segment. What's under the hat? Issues concerning you men. And the topic is, what is retirement? What does men retire? What does it mean when men retire?
You know, sometimes when men retire, it means that it's time for you to get ready to change your status.
Well, retirement is when an individual permanently leaves their job for active working life, typically due to age, health, or having enough financial resources. You know what? I like that last part because most people do that. They have worked hard, they have put up money, they have managed themselves well, and they say, "This is it. This is the time." And some of them don't do it at the typical age. You may get some folks that may go above 67 or 65 or whatever. Some people, I've heard folk that are have planned for in their 50s to get out of the workforce. But it all depends on how you manage your life and your finances and your health
You know,
and
I
everything.
as I begin to study this what is retirement, some of this stuff that I see that what we just read, leaving the job or active working life, typically the age. Some men, like you said, men health, men work. It's who the one that decides when a person should retire.
I think, like we just said, their money sometimes. Now, there are people that, uh, men that retire, but then they go to work after work. They retire from that one particular
Right,
job
right.
and they say, "Uh-oh, my money's funny. I need to go out and I need to just supplement, my income because this is not enough."
Like you said, that it might be the job that they're on to give them a certain amount of time to be on their job, and then it may be just sometimes companies has a limit of how long you can stay on a job, but
Uh-huh.
some men are not to the point where they're old enough to retire. They still got life.
Absolutely. That's something that people, it's funny. Some people think about retirement as like an afterthought, just like some people think about, death, some people don't even want to talk about it or think about it or
Right,
plan for it. And
right.
so, there are times when people, they have to retire for a certain reason, but, we usually say 65, 67 is at age when most men get out of the workforce.
They said our retired men redefined themselves. This is how they do it. One of the biggest difficult issues is retirement face is redefining themselves. A man may spend 30 to 40 years in the working world, and come to think of his job and himself as one of the same. And then they said that what struggles that a retirement have. There's another thing that causes you to struggle in retirement. People, especially the lack of thereof. When you're working, you have a certain social consistency. You go to your job every day and see familiar faces. When the prospect of retirement comes to the realization that those facing will disappear, what or who will replace them?
Mhm. Yeah,
So it messes with your mind. Retirement messes with people's mind. I got to retire, and I've been working for a long time. I've been on the grind for a long time.
yeah, that's some of that's a struggle. But some folk are like, "I can't wait to get off of this job. I put in 20, 30, 40 years. It's time to go." Retirement for men involves financial planning, lifestyle adjustments, and maintaining physical and mental well-being. Like we said earlier, the average retirement age for men in the U.S. is around 65 years old. Through this, though it can vary though based on individual circumstances and career paths. Effective retirement planning includes securing sufficient savings, understanding healthcare costs, and potential adjusting lifestyle choices to accommodate a shift from earning to relying on savings and pension. Now that's a big, big part of it. From getting that money on a consistent basis to a fixed income. That
That's
can
right.
be, now that's the shocking part of it. Sometimes it may be, oh, I miss my friends, this, that, and the other. But when you talk about being on a fixed income, that's a whole different thing. Your life can actually change when you are just limited in a sense, if you haven't really gone the long haul and putting away money, pension, and all that kind of stuff, you're gonna go through culture shock.
That's right. Men that has to go through culture shock at the age of the good old age or whatever the job has allotted you to be upon, to be on, then you become somebody like Leave It to Beaver. You know, people has a tendency of men, particularly those who in their 70s and 80s spend their childhood with Leave It to Beaver or Father Knows Best. Now they're retiring, that seeing life where women were thought major changes for single digits employment in 1950 to 50% of their labor force in 1985. But for many men, their social world stood still.
Yes.
When their retirement, their social skills, now they don't have to go to the job, they don't have to see their folks, they stop at the restaurants, and that stuff has come to a squeaking halt. Now they got to get up in the morning and figure out what they're gonna do.
Well, that's if you sitting back and thinking that life ends at retirement. You know, life doesn't have to end at retirement. There's certain things that you can do that you've been wanting to do. You know, you have some men that they want to travel. Hey, I'm finished with this. I want to take and I want to travel. Or I want to go back to school. Or I want to invest in a new business. You know, you can retire from one thing and you can go on to the next. But you know, just sitting back and say, "Oh, woe is me. Oh, I can. What I'm gonna do now?" That is definitely the wrong mindset to have.
They said that people struggle, men struggle. They said that men struggle when
Mhm.
it's time to retire. The work life of successful men is typically an all about channeling our energy and attention into producing measurable results and generating plenty of income. We begin our career with an asset that typically lingers. We learn as we climb, and before we reach the summit, we achieve mastery.
Yeah.
Men has a tendency of saying, okay, whoa, I'm getting ready to reach that retirement age. Do I really want to quit? But for many men, things start shifting when we reach a certain age. Sometimes 50 or 60, maybe even
Mhm.
70. Someone began to let us know that it's time to step aside and make room for the next generation.
Mhm.
Or maybe we're abusively shown the door. However, it happens, we are left to bring such a mastery and meaning in a new way. It's what I call chapter X.
The next chapter
That's
for
right,
sure.
chapter X, to move from a lesser focus on our career into something that looks like downshift or even retirement, requiring creative things and new kinds of bravery. That especially hard on a man because we supposed to be driven, aggressive, tough, and risk
Mhm.
takers.
Mhm.
Here are some really rude awakenings. Men, when they hit that age, when it's time to downshift, impose an additional burden on themselves
Mhm.
or an outdated sense of masculinity. Senior Vice President of Healthcare and author of the Crack the Code 10 Proven Secrets that Motivate Healthy Behavior and Inspire Fulfillment. Women teams tends to actually feel good
Mhm.
about retirement, viewing it as it pursue a new goal and meaningful work. Why is it that women, when they retire, they seem to be happy about it, but when men seem to retire, some men seem when they time to retire, it seems like they're getting ready to go to another chapter or out in the pasture.
I think women see it as a new beginning. It's a thing of, look, I finally can go home. I finally can do what I want to do. But whether it's a man or a woman, preparation is key. And you've got to start when you start. When you start working, your mind should be on retirement and what it takes. You know, financial planning is key when you're talking about eventually coming off of a job. And so, you know, you've got to make sure your finances are right, have that financial planning, you know, savings and investment. You have to have some savings. Like I said, when you are now on a fixed income. And I think that could be one of the culture shock for men. It's like, wait a minute, I got to manage my coins a little
That's right.
different now.
That's right.
And so, accumulating enough savings to maintain a desired lifestyle during retirement is crucial. So this involves consistent contributions to retired accounts like 401ks and IRS, your savings and stuff. You want to make sure you build up your Social Security and pension. You need to have a job that later on you can sit down and do that. Why? Because you're going to always have to spend money. And if you don't have it, you're going to end up in somebody's soup line poorhouse or on somebody's mercy. You've got to look ahead when you start working and see where the end is going to be. Now, like I said, work after work. Some men say, look, that's enough. I gave the railroad 25 years. I'm just going to open my own business. I'm going to be that mechanic that I used to be, or I'm going to cut hair, or I'm going to travel. They have a vision. And I think that is the difference between some men and some women. A woman already sees what she wants to do. She sees herself out there in the garden, or she sees herself doing nonprofit, or she sees herself managing a new career or a hobby or something. And sometimes women have made it so that they have managed their coins good enough to be able to say bye-bye. But a man, I think, Missy, you got to tell me from a man's point of view, how he visualizes his life in the future.
When a man, I believe that when men retire, some men retire, they're looking at whether I'm going to go fishing, I'm going to do some things that I wanted to do, or is they going to look at their health? They're looking at how men health relates to impact their retirement. Some men said, I got to keep right on working. If I don't keep working, then my health gonna go bad because they so used to working.
Well, let's talk about that, because is that a myth? I've heard some people say this throughout the years. Oh, when a man stop working, he gonna die.
That's right. That's what they said. Many men still aren't taking themselves physical and don't go to the doctor regularly, resulting to high rates of disease and early death. But now research realized it's partly due to the approach in the doctor's office and excessive telehealth and medical information online has allowed easy access to approve. Men die early with an average of life expectations of 73.5 years, according to 2021 study. They're about 5 years earlier than women in the USA. See, so many men they when they stop working, they got a myth in their head. They started taking on problems because they're not stretching their muscles like they used to. They're not doing that work routine. They just sitting back doing nothing, and the things that they had bothered them earlier, it now creeps up on them and takes a toll in men's life.
Yes.
I know a man now who's been working in the city of Norfolk for such a long time. And he was just healthy, just going to work. Now, since he retired the last 2-3 years, his health has gone down.
Well, a lot of people, age is a factor, but sometimes people are working with these conditions. A lot of men don't want to go to the doctor.
Right.
So they're continuing going, they're ignoring the signs. And as soon as they retire, they sit there and all of a sudden you feel stuff that you haven't felt because why? You've been on the go, you've been on the grind. And so, health care is something that retirees or potential retirees should prepare for.
That's right.
Because guess why? You don't want to go out too early. You don't want to go out because of your health. You may not be prepared. If you've been working for 20 years, you're still young, 40 something years old, 50, and all of a sudden you got a condition, you got to go out. The numbers may not add up, and so healthcare is key. You need to take care of that body. You need to go to the doctor. And you have to have, you got to make sure that body is able to go beyond retirement. You don't want to retire and then that's your last breath. You want to be able to go and experience, that nice life that you see after working so hard, putting in all those hours. You see yourself on the beach, or you see yourself fishing, or you see however you see yourself. You want that to happen, but without, taking care of yourself, you're not going to make it.
Some men don't like to accept changes. Here's a
Hmm.
change in one's life. Now I got to make exceptions to some changes. I don't know how I'm going to adjust to sitting at home, or what can I do when I get at home. It's just like having what they call a midlife crisis. What
Hmm.
are my plans going to be? What I'm going to do when I get to the crib, when I sit down? Am I going to work on this old jalopy? Am I going to cut grass all my life? Do I have time to am I just going to sit back and do nothing, sit on the front porch and rock? I studied somewhere where men really is not paying a close attention to what you call mental health. It's some of the things, and not plan on as they get older.
Hmm.
They're not looking at what happens in life. They said as we get older, we focus on a little bit more of prostrate, colon, blood pressure, things like that. Saying that the prostate cancer screening usually doesn't begin until 50 years old, unless another risk factor, such as being an African man or African American, close relationship to we started generating bad health. We started looking at our health, or we really didn't pay close attention to what was going on. And then some men identify retirement as one big difficult issue. Retired men face redefining themselves. What I'm going to do.
Mm.
A man spend 30 to 40 years in working world and come to think of his job himself as one of the same. That's my job. I got to go to work. So he spent all that time working 30 to 40 years and no other outcome. Don't know what else he's going to do
Why?
but go to work.
That's the
Some
thing.
folks don't
Why,
plan.
why, man, why you don't know what else to do with all this that it is to do? Many working, like I said, work after work. Some of them run the household with their partner. Or, you retired. Don't think the wife don't have 150 things on the list for you to do. There's gonna be plenty of things to do if you ask a woman when her man retires. There's sports. Their international travel. There's volunteer work. You sit back and just say, "Soul, take thine ease," you may be out of here, like the man in the scripture. Oh, I did this, I built this, I done that, I ran here and I ran there. Now, soul, I don't have nothing else to do, Lord. And the Lord said, "Oh, well, you don't have nothing to do. Well, come on home, because you ain't got nothing else to do." So it has a lot to do with that mindset, Miss E.
That's right.
And
That's right.
again, preparation is key. In our research, it talks about having a financial advisor or somebody that can tell you, look, this is what your thing, this is what's going to look, it's going to look like when you get here. When you retire, this is your journey. This is the history of your money, and this is what's going to happen. Now, if you want this to change, you can do this, this, this. You can get another job, or you can start saving, or you get that Roth, that IRA, or the four. You can do certain things, because guess what? That day is going to come, and you're not going to be able to get on that job. They're going to retire you, get you out, put you out, or whatever. And that picture of your history is going to be right before your very eyes. That's why preparation is key.
What about some men that work that has no retirement packages on these jobs? They've been working on these jobs for such a long time, 30 and 40 years. They don't even get a gold watch. They don't even get a pen. They don't even get nothing but kicked out the door. And some men who retire from jobs, Ms. Hinton, don't have insurance. They don't have this, but they've been working for 30 and 40 years, and they're not even getting they're not even, the only thing they're getting is their social security if their employee has put anything into Social Security, and some of them are not getting nothing.
Mr.
Not
E, that is
getting
so
nothing.
reckless, though. That is so reckless. If you know that one day you're not going to be working that particular job and it doesn't have benefits and stuff, preparation is key. You're going to have to think about your health care. You're going to have to think about your finances. You're going to think about where it's going to leave the family at this point. If you don't have anything, if you don't have no history, if you don't have nothing that you have put into the system,
You ain't getting
you're
nothing
not
out.
getting nothing out.
That's right. You don't get nothing out. Nothing from nothing leaves nothing. So if you
Yes.
don't put nothing in, you don't put a savings aside, you don't do nothing with it. That's why I look at so many men today. And as I travel around the city, I see so many senior men sitting out there on the corner. I see so many senior men that lost everything they had because they have no income, didn't plan, didn't put nothing away. Now they're going through a struggle of life. Their health is bad. They don't nobody want to be around them, or they don't have a home nowhere. They're just out back. So when it's time to you to retire, you got to make sure that you set up a nice nest egg, or else get you another job to continue in life. I look at so many men as I go into Walmart. There's so many senior men that's standing in the door just being a greeter, just being a greeter.
Yes.
Hello, how you doing? How is everything?
Yes.
And that they just getting out the house. They got a change of pace. They doing something to preoccupy that time.
Absolutely. Some men during this time they suffer from depression.
Yeah.
They are feeling different, bad. They've changed. Life, and then looking at mortality. As a person ages, they get closer and closer, and they feel as though, I'm really at this age that, I don't know how much time I have, what I'm gonna do, and so you can men can go into depressions. They can feel as though life is over.
That's right.
But we encourage you to to have a life wherein you have vision. Without a vision, you need vision. You may not know how you're gonna get there. You didn't know when you started way back then, but you can still dream. You can
That's right.
still have vision, and so I encourage people again to prepare, and then men have dreams, have vision beyond retirement. And I think that's where you can actually feel better about things.
They say retired men that no longer has a job to define themselves. This what retired men that no longer has a job. This is how they define themselves. Their health deteriorates. Relationship outside the homes fade.
Yeah.
And their position in the family are as wife and as grown children assume greater responsibility.
Wow.
They no longer can do what they do. And then some of them, they just, because they sit around the house, they allow the health to get bad. They don't work. They don't work so many years.
Yes.
They walk around. Someone might put a towel on them and sit in the chair. And they just, sometimes they just give up. They don't have anything to keep them occupied. So I'm saying to a lot of people today, when your family member, your husband, your daddy, retired, make sure you keep him active. Give him something to do. Spend time with him. Take him on the golf course. Take him to the shooting range. Whatever he likes to do, just don't let the brother sit around and deteriorate.
And don't let him wallow in regret. Oh, I regret. Got so many regrets, and regrets take over you, and you just don't know how to move forward. And so we encourage you all to move forward, have vision, and ask God, what's my next step? What can I do? Who can I help? And how can I just continue until I can't continue anymore? And so, that's something to think about. Ladies, I know we're talking about the men, but hey, that's another thing. Make sure you got those same things in mind. Make sure you're planning ahead, and make sure you're living the best of life. So look, we're going to talk to you soon. We're going to see you on Fun Friday. We want you to have a wonderful and marvelous day.
For the past 30 minutes, you've been listening to the most talked about radio show in the whole wide world. That's FYI, Women Issues Concerning Men on Today. Listen, for more information about FYI, you can give us a call at 757-714-7861. Don't forget to join us Monday, Wednesday, and Friday from 9:30 to 10 on WGPL 1350, WMPA 88.9, Peace 95.3, and WPCE 1400, and on all social media platforms. You can email us also at FYIRadiosHowLive@gmail.com. Don't forget to enjoy your day. Have a wonderful, wonderful hump day. Bye now. I heard this love was there for me.
Oh, we want to say hello, hello, hello. Good morning, Miss Rose Blizzard. She said, put God first. And she also says, good morning to both of you. I enjoy listening to your program. Mr. Dean was here earlier. Good morning, Mr. Dean. He has something online that you all can check out at Mel, M-E-L. Also, Miss Sheila Robbins, Mark Howard. Thank you all for joining us. Thank you so much for your support. Our Instagram friends at sarah.sk_3762 is on with us. Thank you all so much. You all are a blessing to us. Look, we want to continue with great shows. We're talking about retirement today. Oh my goodness. That's something you got to think of. You know, sometimes, Miss Lee, we put off stuff and look, and then it gets there and it's like, it's what? I'm retired. What I'm going to do? We don't need to get there like that.
That's
Same
right.
thing with death. Oh, what? Death? I don't have nothing in place. I never had no insurance. We don't want to end up like that.
That's right.
So we have some other great shows coming up for you all. We have our, on Fun Friday, we're going to have women's issues. We're going to talk about some things concerning ladies. I hope we have a great, great show for you ladies. You all make sure you tune in. Also, FYI, after dark, wait a minute, sports talk on Monday. Monday sports talk. You know, we're talking about the WNBA. We're talking about the preparation of the NFL. You know, they're getting their things together. But we're also talking about we talked about little tennis today, Miss Eve, with Miss Venus Williams.
That's
She's
right.
still on the go.
Venus.
We talked about, you know, those in the golf world and things like that as well. Let's see. FYI After Dark, Relationship 2025 with Alicia Bennett. Around the Town, community news and events with Edward Everett. Hot Topics, Yolanda Hinton. We're going to be dealing with subjects like the fentanyl crisis and other things. Cryptocurrency, money and more. Mr. Jason L. Baker will be our guest this month later on. But we also would love for you to follow us on social media, and you can also be a special guest, intern, or sponsor with FYI Radio Show.
If you'd like to be a special guest, intern, sponsor of the most talked about show, all you had to do is give us a call at 757-714-7861, or you can email us at FYIRadiosHowLive@gmail.com, or you can drop us a letter or line at FYI at Facebook page, at whatever Facebook page, or Miss Yolanda the Lady Hinton Facebook page.
Absolutely. FYI Radio Show Live at gmail.com, or you can inbox us suggestions, or if you want to be a part of our show on Monday evenings and we return from our replays, I tell you what, you can join us. Now look, you all have a marvelous, marvelous, marvelous day. I tell you what, in Hampton Roads, it's not going to be too hot and humid, but hey, we're still going to be here in summertime, and we're here to enjoy it. Look, see you later. See you on Fun Friday. Have a wonderful, wonderful day.
2 up, 2 down. VA.